Hi, thank you for joining us. This is day 3 of Splendid Yoga's 30 days of self-care. We're going to do a 20-minute yoga practice today, focusing on your shoulders. That's the other main complaint I get from my students, from you guys. Your shoulders hurt. You use them a lot. You're using them all day long. You're probably using them right now. So let's get started. Let's lay down on your back. So you're in a supine position, and I'll show you here what I'm doing seated up. But you're going to place your right hands underneath your low back, kind of behind your belly button, with your palm facing the ground. So the easiest way to get into this is you roll onto your left side, you slide your right hand, the back of your hand, down your low back till it's right around behind your belly button, and you lay back onto your back so your hand is kind of trapped underneath you with your elbow sticking off to the side like a folded wing. So we're looking for some sort of stretch along the front line of your body, of your upper shoulder, maybe like deep into your clavicle. Maybe it's more kind of on the tip, the edge of the humerus, but should be pretty juicy. Now, if you're not feeling anything at all here, not a big deal. We can go deeper. But if you're already feeling like a lot, like this is like your shoulders are screaming, then I want you to get your hand out from underneath you, and you're just going to place it on the ground next to you with the palm facing the ground in that same position, just not underneath you. And if that still feels awkward, then take a cactus position with your arm. It looks like this. Yeah. But if you're not feeling anything, you want to go deeper, you're going to take that hand, you're going to snake it up your spine. So you'll have to roll off onto your left side once again, and snake your hand, yeah, up your spine. Eventually, if you have very open shoulders, it may come to the back of your heart. And then you lay back down on top of that, and that should get pretty juicy. This is affecting your pectoral muscles, and it's really the tightness in the pectoral muscles that's causing the back shoulder pain that a lot of us who spend time in front of computers experience. That spot kind of between the spine and the medial border of the scapula, that really juicy spot where our rhomboids, our lower trapezius lives. It tends to be a pretty sweet spot for a lot of us, but that's not actually where the location of the problem is, right? The problem is actually in the front of the shoulder, where you're using the muscles a little bit too much, so that the muscles in the back have to overstretch to compensate. Now we're going to be here in this folded wing position for a few more minutes here. So just savor it, just enjoy it. It might start really big in terms of the sensation. You might be feeling a lot to start, and then it starts to fade. Or you may have the opposite experience. You may not feel much at all, but then over time, oh, it finally starts to loosen and open up, and then you start to feel more and more and more. So you want to keep the volume of sensation somewhere between like a 4 and a 6. So it's interesting. You can pay attention to it. It's happening in your body. You feel, the muscles are rearranging themselves in a way that feels mostly pretty good. But not too much, not to the point where you're fidgeting or gritting your teeth, so that the stress, the tension, all the stuff that's hiding in that shoulder is just transferring to another part of your body. You really want to let it go. You can imagine the flow of energy is coming from that really tight spot in the front of your shoulder, like right where you feel it the most, that little square inch right in there. Yeah. Let that be just as tight as it needs to be. But imagine like a wave of warm oil coursing over that point, down your arm, around the arm, behind you, underneath you, and then pouring into the earth through your palm. So just kind of pouring from the skies, from nothing in particular. Really noticing that warm sensation as it lands on that really tight spot and then floods down your arm, all the way down over your biceps, your triceps, around the inner and outer elbow, and down through the forearm. and out through the palm into the earth beneath you. That constant waterfall of relaxation seeping into your shoulder, nourishing your wing. And we'll take another minute or two. If you need to go deeper, make that shift so that you can find a place of stillness and curiosity and sensation deep in that shoulder. You can let your head drop from one side to the other. Let gravity take over as much as possible. All right, now slowly release. Roll onto your left side, all the way over onto your belly. And move your body in a rounds in a way that feels really, really good. So you could come up into a tabletop position and move your shoulders around, or you could come into a seated position and give that really tight area a little bit of a massage, a little bit of a hug to let it know it's doing a good job. You know how hard it's working. Yeah, just kind of let the residue of that long hold release. And then we'll stretch out the other side of your shoulder in thread the needle pose. Come into a tabletop position now with your knees under your hips, your hands under your shoulders, and then reach your right arm up towards the sky, right above your nose. Reach it way up there, and then twist. Reach your right arm behind your left wrist. Lay your right shoulder and your right ear down. Now, roll forward on that shoulder so that you can suction cup that whole right ear to the ground. And now you've got a lot of options from here. So if you've landed somewhere comfortable, go ahead, enjoy it. If you want to do something different with that left hand, you can reach it overhead. You can reach it behind you in a half bind, sort of like the folded wing. So depending on how the muscles are arranged in your body, this one may feel way more intense than the other one, but more likely this one is a little bit more subtle than what you experienced in the other shape. But we're looking for something around the back shoulder, around the scapula, around the neck, just some sort of sensation between that 4 and that 6. And then you just let that sensation happen over and over again, just noticing it. This time imagining that flow of warm golden oil flooding around each and every muscle fiber where you feel sensation right now, all throughout your spine, all the way down over that right scapula, both sides of it, all the way down over your arm muscles and bones and tendons and ligaments and connective tissues, the fascia, all the way down, out through the fingertips, just releasing into the ether from there. And that flow of relaxation over and over again, pulling that sweet space into your sweet shoulder. And we'll be here about another minute in silence. All right, so it's a slow transition out of this one. You're going to come onto your back. You just kind of flip over that right shoulder and land with kind of a flump as slowly as you can. Not a lot of grace in that one. And you can move your arm around, but we're going to be moving into the folded wing on the other side. So once that right arm, the right shoulder muscles have kind of rearranged themselves into something that feels pretty normal, then you'll roll onto your right side. Take your left hand and we'll start with it behind your belly button. You can roll onto your back from there. Chances are, if you're right-handed, you just don't have as many muscles on the left side body, so you're going to, by nature, have more flexibility on that side. There's just not as much stuff in the way. So you might be able to go a lot deeper on this side than you did on the other side. So you might snake that hand up vertebrae by vertebrae. It may come all the way up behind your heart. And that's not a goal. You don't necessarily want it there. You want it where it's going to be the most beneficial in terms of how it feels. And I don't know what that means. You know what that means, right? You're the one feeling your body. I know what that means in my body. So find that spot for that hands and then lay back on your back. And yeah, so your legs, they kind of naturally come into whatever position they want. The Supta Baddha Konasana, the feet together, knees wide, is kind of the tradition. You can send your legs out straight, or you can take the easy low back variation with your feet underneath your knees. You bring your feet wider than your hips, and then rest your knees together. A little easier for the low back there. Now we'll take just about 1 more minute here. So if you need to adjust, if you need to come out, if you need to go deeper, make those adjustments so that this last minute is really sweet. All right, we're going to come out of this one. You can roll on to your right side to release that wing from behind you. Give it a good roll in its socket or whatever you need to do so that the residue of that shape fades. And you'll make your way to that tabletop position. Eventually, you can take your time and we'll thread the needle on that left side. So reach your left arm up to the sky, way up there, and thread your left arm behind your right wrist. Lay your shoulder down and roll forward on your shoulder so that whole left ear is on the ground. And decide what that right arm wants to do. And you settle in for a few minutes. Stretching out, really important, really tense muscles of the shoulder. And keep in mind, we use the word tense in terms of the muscles sometimes as with a negative connotation, but we really do want our muscles to be tense, right? We want them to be able to contract because a loose muscle doesn't do us a lot of good. What happens with the muscles is they just forget how to relax because we end up using them so much that they just kind of get used to like being in that contracted position all the time. And then you don't get your full range of motion and you don't get access to your full strength. We're going to talk about that more as the month goes on. But for right now, just ask your body, remind those tight muscles. They have permission to relax. You just have to remind them how, and that's what these long holds do. It reminds the muscles that they can make a different shape. Sometimes they get a little grumpy about it. And you can let that exist in a realm of slight discomfort, but please, we implore you, stay away from pain. All right. You're going to, once again, just flop onto your back from here. So you can just let gravity pull your body back over to the left, then you land. Really easy on your back. Bring your arms out to a T or a cactus and press all of your joints down into the ground. So press your shoulder blades down, press your elbows, press your wrist, all of your knuckles, even that thumb, even that pinky knuckle. Can you get all of them down to the ground? Really feel that effort of all of your arm muscles pressing down. Exhale and release all the effort in your muscles. And take a few big bear hugs. So reach your right arm over your left as you give yourself a big hug, trying to touch the ground next to your ribs. Really reach way down there, or if you can touch the ground, reach way away from your body. And then literally give yourself a hug. Give your shoulders a big squeeze. Dig your thumb into wherever it feels sweet for your muscles. Now open up your arms wide or to a cactus. Once again, press all of your knuckles down into the ground, all of your elbows, all of your shoulders, press them down. Take an inhale. Exhale, release all that effort. And give yourself another big bear hug, this time the left arm on top. Give yourself a big squeeze. Reach your fingertips down towards the ground next to your ribs or off, away from your body. And then grab your shoulders. Literally give yourself a big hug. And then release your arms out to a comfortable T or somewhere below your shoulders if that's for any reason uncomfortable. You can stretch your legs out here or take the variation that's easiest on the low back. We'll close here with about a minute in Shavasana, and I'll let you know when that minute's up. But I invite you to stay for as long as your body would like, right? Not what your to-do list wants, but what your body wants. Stay in that final position until you hear that little internal dinger, ding, go off. For this last minute, settle in over and over again to the sensation of gravity. Succumb over and over again to that warm oil washing through you, relaxing all of your muscles, reminding them that they know how to relax, even if they haven't done it in a little while. I'll leave you here, friends. Take your yoga with you out into the world. Namaste.